Hey guys, welcome back. This is week 28 Project Life. This week I am working with a couple of different card sets that I picked up from Studio Calico. They're not kits, I just bought the card sets. And they're both, I can't remember exactly when they're from. I know one of them was definitely like a December set, and one I think might be kind of November-y. Anyway, they're very kind of muted, darker tones, Christmassy kind of themed, obviously, some of them, which means they kind of equate nicely to this time of year here down in the southern hemisphere. So got a little bit more of a kind of muted feel going this week. There's lots of kind of cool tones in my photos, and I'm going to play that up in the cards. I have just mixed these two sets up. Like I said, I can't remember the name of them. If they're still available, I'll link them in the description box for you. The December ones were especially nice, so I have pulled out a few that I think might work in December daily. I know, far too early to be thinking about that, and I have put them aside just so that I remember to use them. So this is the kind of basics for my layout. I pulled out a couple of those 4x6 cards. They kind of work together. There's that kind of puce green looking color and some teal and some blue and gray, just all of those kind of cooler mutedy kind of tones. I mean, I figure sometimes why fight it? As much as I love to add color to these kind of wintry spreads so it makes me feel better, sometimes it's just appropriate to use these kind of moody, muted colors as well. So eventually I get all my cards done, and like I said, because it wasn't a kit, I did sort of turn the camera off and go and pull out a few bits and pieces. Not so much in the way of embellishment. I'm not going to do a whole lot of embellishing. I've pulled out a few different kind of alpha sets that might work. I've also pulled out a bunch of stamps. I'm just going to do a lot of stamping, really. The other thing that I did do while the camera was off is just go ahead and type out my journaling straight onto that gray journal card there. It had a little sentiment at the bottom of it, and so I've just stopped my journaling above that. It worked out pretty nicely there. Now I'm starting by stamping the title week here. I'm using a navy blue ink, embracing those colors. This is a Citrus Twist alpha, and it is quite large. I don't have numbers to match those alphas, so I have pulled out these super old, they're not chipboard, what are they? Cork alphas, and I was definitely not going to be able to squeeze them on. So I've kind of just gone with it, and I'm going to overlap it, sort of create this kind of stacked overlapped title. And just to kind of accentuate that, I am going to just date stamp straight in underneath in that little gap that the numerals and the alphas create. I am stamping that in black, which I sort of wondered whether to do, like black and navy blue. It's always a little bit like, should I? And it actually worked nicely because there is going to be a lot of black in this layout anyway. There's some black in the photos, or certainly darker grey tones, and I am going to do a lot of stamping in black, so adding that tiny touch of black into that title card really does kind of help tie that all together. I really wanted to get the title card sort of over and done with, I guess, just because I struggled last week so much with actually getting a title card done at the end of the process. I decided this week I would do the opposite and just start with the title card, and then I can move on to the rest of it, which I always find a little bit easier, and that was definitely the right step. So this one here, when I took this particular photo of the pizza, I did leave that little gap in the sort of top right hand corner there as a place to add embellishment or stamping, and so I have stacked a couple of stamps. They're maybe slightly too big for the gap, but they do kind of fit in there, and you can see that's where I'm starting to add a little bit of that black in as well. Now this particular card, I sort of had an idea of what I was going to do when I printed the photo this size. It's sort of a slightly separate story to kind of the rest of the journaling that is on my journaling card, and so I did need to allow space to type a little bit of journaling in here. The kind of file, I guess they're like file looking pieces on this card, I wanted to stamp extra words under there to kind of create the sentiments, but they weren't quite the right tense, so I did have to change what I was hoping to stamp in there. Again, I'm just stamping with black. I'm going to ignore the third one because that's going to be covered up by my photo, and then all I need to do is just pop that away, and I ran that through the typewriter and added that little bit of extra journaling as well. And then you can see here that covers up that third little tab, but I get all of those colors and a little extra story. Now, some of the things that I did pull out of my stash, one of the 3x4 cards that I've used there on the left has a little bit of copper, I think it's kind of copper, sort of a rosy gold copper foiling on it, and that is the only thing on that page that has foil. So when I went through my stash for alphas and whatnot, I was trying to pull out a little bit of kind of metallics so that I could tie that back into that card. One of the things that I'm going to do is add these pink paisley alphas. They're so pretty. This is the only sheet that I've got left. There's lots of alphas on here, but you can see I'm running out of ease. And just adding that tiny little touch of metallic really does pull that other card in together. So this one's super basic. I only adhered my photo down and then I've added those golds. They're foam, so they're going to compress a little bit into the pocket, but it just helps, I guess, give a purpose or some sort of consistency to the one piece of metallic foil that there was on here. Now again, this one's super simple. I'm going to stack a couple more sentiments. This stamp set from Citrus Twist must be like one of my most used sets, and I'm going to stamp a couple of those in there from poor old Lil getting back from her latest surgery. She was not feeling good. Poor dozy little thing. It really breaks my heart to see her like that. And then again, I've actually cropped this photo. It was like a portrait photo, and I have cropped it so it fit in this spot, but cropping it like that also meant that again I had that little bit of kind of blank space that I could pop a stamp into. So I just have to say, like, when you don't necessarily have to know exactly what you're going to do, but when you crop your photos, do just bear in mind that if you're going to stamp on them or add embellishment, you might be able to crop it slightly differently so that there's a bit of blank space to be able to do that. So, I mean, this sort of goes with this photo as well. I mean, it's a mundane kind of photo. I kind of tried to make it a little bit abstract because this is simply the new access into our driveway. It's been a battle. It's taken me 2.5 years to to finally get our council to put in an adequate access to our house. And so I finally did it, and it's kind of a boring thing to take a photo of, a driveway. So instead I just made it a little bit more abstract. It's just the stripes of the concrete and the asphalt, and it gives me the perfect place to stamp out a title. Now, 100%, what I should have done is just gone and found some alpha stamps because I wanted to use the sticker that said stuff and write the word good. And instead of just going and getting some alphas, I used the word dog and then partially stamped all of those letters to make it spell good. Now, it worked, but man, what an effort. I should have just gone and found some alphas that matched. I really wanted to use that same sort of font that I had used, the yes to this, and it also is very similar to those gold alphas that I've used. And I do actually have a stamp set of alphas that is that particular font. So honestly, I have no idea why I did it the hard way. I did it and it worked, but there was definitely an easier way to do that. Now this is the last card, and I was a little bit I didn't want to cover up too much of the actual pattern of the card, but because of the colors of it, it made it a little bit hard to stamp on. Like, stamps don't work particularly well on top of foil. Yeah, it was just a little bit awkward. So what I did instead was I used the Get Messy stamp set, and it's got that kind of grid stamp on it, so you can add a little icon like I'm going to do here, and a couple of other little spots that you can stamp on, but instead I added a little bit more typing. So I've got sort of 3 cards with my typewriter typing on it, and I wanted to trim that down and make it into a kind of label. It's a slightly different size than my photo, so what I am going to do is just trim it down so that it is the same width as my photo. The way I had to trim that though, because I've got that icon stamp, I should have done the trimming first. The little handle of the coffee cup that I've added in there sort of stuck out past the lines. And so I've trimmed it from the other side and then just used a gel pen to fill in those lines. And now I'm kind of working out where I want to put it. And I've changed my mind. So instead of making it look like a, I don't know, like a kind of library card at the top, I'm actually going to align it right to the bottom. I'm just lining up those black lines with the bottom of the card and then trim off the rest. So it kind of becomes more like a label rather than an actual card. And that's all done. That's my layout all done. So much simpler this week. I love it. Not a whole lot of embellishment, a whole lot of stamping, and this is just my kind of easy layout. Hey, thanks for watching today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. If you want to keep watching, there are a couple more videos on screen. Otherwise, I'll see you next time. Bye.